Welcome. You are listening to the Experience Podcast number 2. My name is Neil Miller. To my left is, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Dennis Miller.
To my right,
Ezra Yoder.
Daniel Miller.
Kyle Weiler.
We'll elaborate on introductions as I'll allow you to fully introduce yourself first.
I'm Ezra Yoder. I'm from northern Indiana, 23 years old, and I'm excited about doing these podcasts. We always get together. We've known each other for a while, and we talk about things that we feel like really mean something. And so I'm excited about this, and I'm excited about seeing where it goes from here.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Yeah, man. I just feel like,
Introduce yourself.
yeah, man. I feel like people need to start getting together. You know, we've just been talking about this a lot, and feel how we should express ourselves. And I just feel like this is something I want to be involved with. You know, important to have people come together and really talk about how they feel. You know, but yeah. Go ahead.
On to you, Kyle.
I'm Kyle, and I'm from northern Indiana. Grew up in Pennsylvania, small towns. I'm a singer-songwriter, and find my music on any music platform under Kyle Byler, Facebook, Kyle Byler Music. And I'm really happy to be a part of this podcast and just being open and seeing what we can express ourselves in. And
Good. Alrighty.
I'm Dennis Miller, and we just started this podcast with my brother Neil. I'm Neil's brother, and I'm grateful for the crowd that we have here because I think this is the start of something absolutely magnificent to where we can empower people and create true change in the world. And I just want to share our core values for the podcast. Number one is facts. And if we do not present facts, we'll make sure that we say that it's our opinion. And number two is inspiration. 3, empowerment and transformation.
Cool. Alrighty. I believe, Ezra, you had a question that you wanted to begin with. We can take off and start on that.
The point that I was thinking about was just talking about why we're here.
Why we're here.
What's the reason for us being here? What's the purpose?
So, what does why we're here, what does that mean to you?
That, to me, that means there's a reason. I feel like there's a reason why we're here.
Okay.
Everything that I see in nature, from as big as the universe down to cells, has a purpose. So for me to believe that we're here randomly and has no purpose just doesn't sound plausible.
How do you feel about that, Kyle? The statement, why we're here. What's your perspective? What's your take?
I feel like everybody has to find out for themselves. Like, it's kind of like something is hidden for everybody to find out. And if you don't try and find that, then you might go through your whole life and never find it. Like, something that you know is hidden. Let's say you know somebody buried some gold. Okay, but you don't know where it is. You might go through your whole life trying to find it and never find it. But you might go through your whole life not knowing that it's there, and you might never find it. And you might be going through life trying to find things, and you might stumble across it. I feel like it's something that everybody has, something that they're here for hidden, and they can go through life and never find it unless they know that they're here for a reason and try and find that reason.
Right. Which, like, the point where it's coming from is, I feel like what you're talking about is like a person finding what they feel like purpose is, what they feel happy doing, what they love doing.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm talking about is why it was set up, why this was all designed, why we're put here. There's a reason.
So,
I feel like there is.
on that topic, on how you feel like there is a reason. So, imagine you are a being of, so you're no longer in the hard density, you're no longer in the third density of fast moving particles, particles moving so fast that they appear solid to the human eye, but it is only the perception that makes them appear solid. Imagine not being in the solid world and being in a world where there is nothing to taste. There are no words because words are they are a thing, and this is in this state there is energy. So when you're at the place where there's no solids, that means there's no steaks. That means there's no eggs, no alcohol. You're at that state of just pure energy.
And energy and
So while you're there, you start to realize and you start to think that you want to experience. So in order to experience, you need to be in the 3D physical world because the world that you're in is non-physical, and in that world there is no experience because you are the totality of the experience. Can you add something to that, Dennis? As far as why we're here, what's your take on it? What's your perspective? Is there a reason we're here?
My opinion is absolutely. And I'm a firm believer in reincarnation. Why we're here, I think, is to learn the lessons that we agreed to before we got sent here, or before we incarnated onto this, into the 3D dimension. So, and if we don't, and it goes back to what Kyle was saying, is, I lost my train of thought, but suffering and finding purpose. So if we don't find the purpose, we will constantly, continuously, I mean, you see people go through life and they're in a constant state of struggle and not being able to, it seems like they can't gain traction in their life. And I think that's part of the learning the lessons, if that makes sense.
yeah, it all plays into what I feel like what you're focused on. You know, as far as if you're getting somewhere in your life or not, or if it's all struggle. Because
So, to be focused on something, at that point you're a human doing something. When you focus on nothing, when you focus on breathing, you are a human being.
right, focusing on things in the physical. The thing I've thought about it was, you know, obviously there's a lot of things about the Bible that, you know, just don't really stand right with me, but I feel like there's certain points, like when I say God, I'm not saying like Jesus or like Buddha or whatever religion. I'm talking about whatever God is, whatever the entity, the energy that put us here, designed all this. I feel like, just like with human beings, we need to have companionship. We need to be able to socialize and stuff. And so, what if he said, just to condition like souls, entities, and this might be maybe first step of a long process. Whereas where I kind of like agree with what you're saying in a way with reincarnation, that our soul, our entity after this life, after the conditioning it goes through, goes to another phase until you get to a point where you're basically at the same level as God and you can associate with Him. And, you know what I mean? Because
Yes.
there's a process that.
What you're saying is there's levels to this shit.
Yeah, I feel like there is. Just like a baby to an old man. There's levels to it. Because there's no way that anybody could convince me that this is just random and for no reason.
Correct.
And there's no way anybody can convince me that it's for this God to be worshipped and stuff, because I thought about it and I was like, well, you know, we're creating God's image, but by image, I'm not gonna think being. Our physical form is for our environment. To believe that God is like us, arms, legs, and stuff, is to believe that God's bound to the earth like we are.
Correct.
And He's not. So, I forgot where I was going.
Okay. I want to bring something up. You had talked about companionship. It's something all humans crave. It's not even the companionship. It's more the acceptance of the fellow man of them is what they crave. And this goes as far as to it can be, so it's a yin yang thing, the duality of the universe, where the even criminals, some criminals cannot get away from being a criminal because of the companionship. That is how they fit into society.
Right.
That is their fit in. That is who they feel like they are, and to not be that would be to cause separation.
Right.
And the human mind really craves and wants that not attachment but companionship and just the acceptance of another person.
Right. And I feel like
Do you have something to add to companionship? The word companionship, what does that mean to you? How do you feel about that? Can you add anything to what I just said?
To what I see about it is, like, I really notice it when you meet somebody for the first time and people worry a lot about what people think about them. And if you're gonna, like, see a person on a daily basis, you want them to, you know, accept you, you know, and for you to be a likable person, you know. You want them to enjoy being around you.
Right.
And you feel like, you know, you want to connect with that person and have a good time with that person. Companionship is like, you pretty much start giving up things that, and breaking yourself down and helping other people out without really realizing it, just to make so they, like, you know, have
Accept
a better
you.
perspective of you, you know. I feel
It's
like-
satisfactory to you
Yeah,
to
it
do
gets
those
us.
things.
Yeah,
something that makes me think about is, you know, there's things are physical.
that's where I feel that people will feel the satisfaction of companionship.
Right. And something that made me think about is like companionship, unlike hunger, unlike thirst, unlike the physical things that your physical self needs. Companionship is something that you need from in a different form. Basically, I guess it's more of a spiritual thing, maybe something like that. It's something we need.
The
Just as
connection.
about as much
You're-
as
you're-
food and water.
That is it. That is very interesting how you
100%.
put that.
Yeah, you know, it's a need, but not a physical need.
Yeah.
I just felt like that was something I should point out because it's pretty interesting.
That is very interesting. What do you have to say on companionship, Kyle?
I, personally, I feel like you can take that whatever way you want. Companionship can mean, I find companionship in myself. Like, I feel like when you're on one with yourself, then you're in companionship with yourself, and I feel like that's the most important thing, the most important type of companionship that is gonna get you through this life
100%.
into the next stage of life.
That's
Is
true.
being,
100%.
if you can be your own companionship, because nobody's gonna be as much good or as much bad for you as yourself.
Basically, love yourself. Learn to love yourself. Learn to
Yes.
love who you are.
If you don't like
Look into.
yourself, nobody will like you.
I got something to say. Look
That's
into
true.
the mirror every day. Look yourself into the eye and look at yourself. And tell yourself you love yourself. And you love the person standing in front of you.
Even if you don't at the time, I feel like it's necessary to do that so you can get to the point where you
Every
actually
day.
If you're
It
ashamed of the
is.
man in the mirror, then everybody else might be too.
What you just said is a seed being planted into the universe to produce the most beautiful plant of loving yourself
Mm-hmm.
in your later stages of life.
Yeah.
Right now, you're putting the seeds of word into the universe to manifest the reality of loving yourself.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to prove to the universe, grow in the universe, and the universe creates you one with yourself.
What do you have to add on companionship?
Well, after all that, I don't know if there is anything I can add.
Yeah.
I mean,
there
what
has
Kyle
to be
just said,
something to add.
And I totally agree with everybody. It's like the self-love is, that's the biggest thing, because then we can't give out what we don't have. So, and we can be grateful for things as small as a blade of grass.
Right.
And in that we can find gratitude and just a reflection of who we are and how we're connected to everything.
You said you can find gratitude in a blade of grass. You get to choose if you feel gratitude or not about the blade of grass. So, in that moment, it is the essence of your being making the choice to feel gratitude for that blade of grass, which is what sets you apart from your lower nature, which steps on the grass and uses it as a carpet to walk to the swing set. When you realize your higher nature, you will give gratitude to the grass for being soft and allowing you to walk over it to the swing set. That is your higher nature over your lower nature.
Could you take it the next step and be grateful that you have the ability to show gratitude just because you can?
That's something to point out.
Just because you can.
That's how we were designed.
Is it going to benefit you more to show gratitude? Probably. Because I believe gratitude plays a huge factor in becoming one with yourself.
Yes, I agree.
You're not going to get that way thinking selfishly and stuff about
If
everything.
you don't have gratitude,
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
Become one with
So-
yourself, I feel it's all a very grateful becoming one.
I believe we just came full circle to what you were talking about. And we went to gratitude and we came back to being one with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, the important thing out of that is when we want to see change in the world, we need to be ourselves. That is how change is produced.
Hey, be the change you want to see.
I
For
wrote it
real.
down right before you even started.
Be the change you want to see.
I bought a lighter that said that because it caught my eye in the gas station because I was thinking about change. And I saw that lighter and I bought it. And that stuck with me.
You know, a lot
That's
of
awesome.
people say they really want to have certain change, have things be a certain way, but they're not being that change. And that's never going to change until people start
Correct.
being that change, start that energy, start that movement. The big problem why that doesn't happen is because another human, like, I feel like instinct is, if you're sitting in a crowd of 1,000,000 people and a question gets asked that you know is true but nobody else stands up, are you going to stand up and say that it's something else? No, probably not. Most people, even when they know they're right, won't stand up and say it because 1,000,000 other people that are blind don't stand up.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you to repeat that, what you just said. Could you repeat that 3 times for us?
3 times?
Yes, please.
If I feel like the human instinct is that if you're sitting in a crowd of 1,000,000 people and a question is asked that you know the true answer to, but I feel like there's a better way to put it. It's basically like if something is said that you know isn't right, you know the truth about it, but 1,000,000 people sitting around you don't, so they don't stand up and say something, then the average human being isn't gonna stand up and say something.
Is that where we find ourselves today, kind of in the
In the current pandemic that we're in,
yes,
what we're seeing, the strategy that's being used currently is a strategy of fear, and it's a strategy of comes right back to you, Ezra, of not fitting in.
Right.
When you walk into a building and 15 people have a mask on, you walk in with no mask on, you want to feel that acceptance of having the mask on, but it is in your heart, it does not feel right to wear that mask.
Right.
That is
One point.
the perception that is being used on humanity, is the fear and the not fitting in to what others are doing is being used against us at this moment, and it does not have to be that way.
Can I put it as a picture in my perspective of what it looks like in kind of something that I can relate to?
I would love to see you paint it beautifully.
There's someone crying with an arrow stuck in their back. There's someone comforting that crying person, holding that crying person in one arm and the bow in the other. The people in the form of how people have influence, the big influence. They throw something out there to scare everybody. Then they have a solution to comfort everybody. The people shooting the arrows are using that. The solution and the problem is caused, but the solution is a trap. It's just going to create a false sense of comfort before they do it again.
I want to highlight on that. what you just described is a concept described by David Icke. It's a concept called problem, reaction, solution. And the way this is presented, a problem is caused, a pandemic in this case. There's a reaction, the public reaction. Something needs to be done. And a solution is presented to you. Here's the solution. The solution, back to you, is a trap. The solution is not the solution. They caused the problem, they waited for the reaction, and then they give you the solution. You need to come up with your own solution at this time, and it comes back to being who you are.
Being one with yourself
The solution is within.
to every problem. To every problem. Everything you need, you have.
As within, so without.
Mm.
Which is what
You
they
can
need.
become one with whatever you are meant to
But
be
I-
one with.
So I just sort of feel the bad thing about it. I just sort of feel like this is a test.
See, that's kind of
Like I just feel like it's just the government just checking to see how much power he actually has over the people. Like what can he actually do? How much can he actually fuck up without getting in trouble?
how much can they get away with.
Yes.
And
Before they
and
end
here-
up fucking everything up.
so here is what you're saying is also, it ties into the answer of this thing of say what you just said.
I just feel like the government is just using this as a test just to see how much he can actually control the people
Okay,
in this country.
here's the answer. So the reason that what is happening on the planet is happening currently is because of acquiescence. And acquiescence is the act of going along with someone, with something, with an idea that is presented to you. Without acquiescence, this power does not exist. Without the acquiescence of the people. Once the people realize that their consent is the fuel to the fire that is being burned. That's what people need to realize.
Mindful about the consent you give.
In each moment, you choose the consent or lack thereof that you give to the power.
It doesn't have to be verbal.
And you either choose to give that power away, or you step into your own power and you own it.
It seems everything comes back to being one with yourself.
Right.
Everything is the core of the energy, all the energy you experience in this world, all the energy you receive. It's like you have your own energy. Everybody has their own energy where they draw it into the power plant that's here.
Yes.
And everything that comes and goes in your life is from the source, and you're the source of your energy.
It's kind of like that's the place that we're meant and designed to be at.
Home.
Right?
It's an interesting
Be
concept.
yourself.
And even in the Bible,
Right.
it talks about the kingdom of God is within.
Yeah.
So
It
I mean,
does.
Home is where the heart is.
On the topic of the heart, so the heart has, we need to look this up, we'll come back to this, but it has as many neurons or more neurons than the brain does. The heart remembers. So I heard a story once of a girl, and this girl, she needed a heart transplant because her heart was no longer any good. And she received a heart transplant in the hospital. All went well. She was healthy. Everything was good. She went home. She went out of the hospital, and she started having nightmares, like vivid nightmares of a man killing her while she was sleeping. Like vivid to the picture, so descriptive. They being the police, took a description of the man from her dream from this girl, and they identified a murderer that had killed the little girl, I should not say little, I don't know if it was little or big, but who killed the girl that she received the heart transplant from. That girl was murdered by this guy, and they caught this guy 20 years after this girl was murdered from the description received by the girl who received the girl's heart of the deceased murdered girl. Because of the neurons in the heart that remembered, the same as the brain remembers, the heart remembers. So that is science. I want to continue with this conversation. I'm going to look up the actual amount of neurons that are located in the heart, and I'm going to bring that back up. Do you have anything to add to that, Dennis?
On the topic of
Of
the heart as memory.
Of the heart and of neurons and just the heart as general, as an organ, as having neurons as the brain.
So I'm reading this book right now called The Secret Wisdom, and it's actually talking about that as far as in this cycle of time that we're in, this book talks about in this evolutionary stage of this cycle of time that we're going through, it says that we came here to experience what the ascended, like Jesus and like Allah and all these ascended people have, what they give or what they've done, and how we as humans in this cycle are experiencing that connection to that heart connection. If that does that make sense?
Yes.
In this cycle of, or in this time that we're in,
Right, yeah.
Do
in
you
this
have
evolutionary stage of our.
Do you have anything to add to the heart neuron connection? Just the heart organ in general, how the heart relates to the brain. How do you feel that the heart is important?
I haven't really read up on it, you know.
I want your opinion on this topic.
This is the first time I've heard
You can pass this
stuff
on.
about this.
Yes, absolutely.
But I've always just seen the heart as an organ that keeps your body running,
Okay.
and it's the first thing your body really relies on is what it needs to run. It's the number one thing. You know?
Yes, sir.
There's definitely, in my opinion, a difference between our physical being and our spiritual being. And the two organs that I feel like tie into and that create the gray area between the physical and the spiritual are the heart and the brain. So that's why it made sense to me when you said that. I feel like there's just this type of energy, whatever it is, that is in place there. And so it definitely sounds like it makes sense to me. Like, I feel like there's something that could be discussed
There is a way to observe that.
Right.
There is a way, and it's being done by Greg Braden as we speak. I would strongly recommend looking him
I
up.
definitely will.
Back to the neurons in the heart. So I just want to bring up the facts of what we're talking about. Recent findings, this is reading straight off of Google. Dr. Armour in 1991 discovered that the heart has its little brain or intrinsic cardiac nervous system. This heart brain is composed of approximately 40,000 neurons that are alike neurons in the brain, meaning that the heart has its own nervous system, which would be sensory. The heart has its own sensory system. We'll compare that to the brain. So neuroscientists has become used to another number of facts about the human brain. This is reading directly off of Google. It has 100 billion neurons and 10 to 50-fold more glial cells, spelled Glial. It is the largest than expected for its body among primates and mammals in general, and therefore the most cognitively able. It consumes an astounding 20% of the total body. Let's continue here. %20 of the total body energy budget. So your brain is consuming 20% of your energy that the body produces, despite representing only 2% of the body mass. Because of an increased metabolic need of its neurons, and it is endowed with an overdeveloped cerebellar cortex, the largest compared with brain size. These facts led to the widespread notion that the human brain is literally extraordinary, an outlier among mammalian brains, defying evolutionary rules that apply to other species, with an unequiness seemingly necessary to justify the superior cognitive abilities of humans over mammals with even larger brains. Point I want to make is the brain has 100 billion neurons, and the heart has a total of 40,000 neurons included with its own nervous system. Do you have something to add after hearing that?
I mean, that's crazy. But it makes sense because if something very much surprises you, like the heart is always the one that's always beating. And I feel that's what enables your body to react very quickly. Is because your heart is moving at such a high rate or more speed, it allows your body to use more of its strength and more of its power, and enable your body to react faster.
Cool. Would you like to
I
add
got a
something?
question. So, when we're talking heart, are we referring to, you were talking about listening to your heart, or that's kind of what I gleaned from that. But is the gut, like your instinct or your gut, is that same as the heart? Like,
When you're talking about your gut instinct, so that is a misconception. The gut instinct is, people say listen to your gut, but what you're listening to is your heart. When you're listening to your gut, you're listening to your heart, Your heart is where intuition stems from. It's where your feelings stem from. Your gut is directly related to the sacral chakra, which is not related at all to intuition, but it is related to the mental space of your brain. And lots of people with depression have a very not good gut health because of eating not good foods, which leads to chemistry of the brain being produced with not good things. What you eat is what you become. You got anything, Kyle?
I think I know how to. Like, I feel like you can feel with more than one thing. Like, so like if you have, like what I mean is, you can feel the same thing through two different feelers.
Elaborate.
You can feel with your heart. You can feel with your brain. You can feel with your hands. That's with your brain. There's a physical feel. There's an emotional feel. But I think you can feel that emotional feel in two different ways. Like you can decide if you're gonna feel that with your heart or with your brain. That might sound really weird, but I think I feel
It does sound
Okay, so
like
that was your opinion right there. We'll throw that out there.
yeah, that was my opinion.
I feel very much as in you use your brain to receive the things that you feel and touch, but it's really how you want to feel about it is what is up to what's in here, what you want to feel about the situation that went into here. Understand what I'm saying? Basically, you got control of if you want to toss that or if you want to hold that. It's your choice. It's been science that you got 3 seconds to do with a thought in your brain. If you think about it, you got 3 seconds to choose, and you can either toss that and not think about it again, or you can ponder on that and hold that and let that ruin your whole day.
Yes.
That's kind of the way my perspective is you can either, just for instance, you can know that you've been hurt, but it doesn't have to hurt you. Because you know that you've been hurt,
And you
but
recognize
your
it.
heart has been hurt before and doesn't let it happen again. You can get hurt through your brain, which doesn't allow you to feel the hurt, but you know that's my perspective of
Mind over matter.
there's two different feels.
Yeah.
I would like to add something to that, and it's not necessarily there's two different fields. It's a universal truth. Where you put your tension is where your energy goes, and it's kind of a little rhyme. It goes like this: where attention goes, energy flows. Where attention goes, energy flows. Where attention goes, energy flows. So you need to be aware and very mindful of where you're putting your attention at. Because as you put your attention to that, you are putting energy to that you're putting your attention to. Do you want to add something?
I mean, yeah, that's something. Yeah, I don't know how I should put it. Something I sort of understand, but something I can't take any further than that. I mean, you pretty much said it.
It makes perfect sense. If
Would you want to elaborate? Take it a step further?
I mean, basically, I'll try to break it down a little bit. The way
Sure,
I see it
sure.
is like, say, like your energy isn't gonna go into something you're not paying attention to. That's like being at work, but your energy is going into drawing a picture at home or something. Whatever you're focused on, whatever your energy is, or your attention is, that's where your energy is gonna go. And like, say, even just like if you're gonna have a bad day because your attention is being on just something that you're bothered about or don't like or something like that, that's where your energy is gonna go to. That's what it's gonna manifest. That's what it's gonna just pretty much turn into.
Mm-hmm.
Can your attention, my perspective of attention is you can save attention, like, or you can create with attention, like build like blocks building a house. You put your intention into this one thing, just for instance, a relationship. Okay, if you put all your attention in there, then you still got what you were creating with your attention to keep building and building and building. And if you lose all that, that's where you actually get hurt. You get hurt because you invested energy in something that you lost your energy. Like you're reeling in a fish, then you lost a fish. You put your energy into catching the fish, then the fish got away and your energy was wasted. If you didn't get any fish. If you go fishing and don't catch any fish, you're disappointed because you put your energy into something you got no return. You lost your energy. Can hurt come from losing energy that you invested?
I like it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Hit a spot there.
Basically, don't put your energy into something that is not worth your time.
You want to put your energy into the things that you want to do,
Or the things you want to keep in your life.
or the things that you want to keep in your life.
So, something else that I'd like to add on top of that is in the Bible it talks about life and death is in the power of the tongue. So it goes with where we put our attention to. It also is the thoughts that we think and the words that we speak, because our words have the power of life and death. We can speak life into things or we can speak death into things. And it's the same way with our thoughts. So I think that's something else
That was
is
very well put. I do, or I can, and I cannot makes two different things happen to the cells in your body. I can creates growth, makes your cells grow, rejuvenate, revitalize. I cannot puts your body in a system of shutdown, of closure, of deterioration. Your thoughts directly contribute to your physical reality.
Yeah, they do, because that's where your energy is going, is what you're thinking.
Absolutely.
You might not know it, but this has been proven, and you can fact check me on this if you want.
Sure.
That even jokingly saying something negative about yourself affects you in a negative way. Making a joke about yourself in a negative way affects you in a negative way.
Yes, I have heard that.
There's got to be a reason why you're saying the joke.
Exactly.
If it has no merit, no substance, it's
Mhm.
funny.
You're not one with yourself if you slam yourself. My perspective.
Correct.
If you're one with yourself, if you're one with something, you're not gonna have a problem with it.
Right.
And if you're slamming yourself even as a joke, obviously there's something in your life that you don't like that's there, and you're not one with yourself.
Correct. Like it. Feeling good?
I really gotta pee.
This has been a wonderful experience. This is the Experience Podcast. number 2.
I'm excited for more.
Signing off. Bye.